Welcome, everybody, to the Blue Collar Chats podcast. I am your host, Cameron Vogelsang. This is the very first episode of Blue Collar Chats. I'm really excited about the content that is going to come out in the future. Basically, what I have in mind is just interviewing others in the trades. Doesn't just have to be electrical. And by the way, I'm also known as Tennessee Electrician on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But it's not going to just be electricians. I'd like to talk with all the trades and just get to hear people's stories and maybe help those out there who want to get in the trades, hear other experiences, and just learn what's going on in the trade world. We always talk about how we need more tradespeople, and so I'd like to talk with those who are deep in. And got a very special guest on with us this evening. We met on Instagram just a few weeks ago, and he's been putting out some really good content. A very successful business person, has his own company, and has a few other endeavors going on at the moment as well that we're going to learn about. But let's go ahead and introduce our guest, Will Betances. I don't know if I can get it right the first time or not.
You hit it on the head. It's Betances.
Betances. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, Will. How does it feel to be a part of the very first podcast?
It's history, brother. It's
It's
history in the
history.
making. So I appreciate you.
Well, if it tanks after a couple weeks, I'm just gonna. I may blame it on you if that's okay.
That's all right, brother. I'm used to it. I love the heat.
I'm just kidding. You know, speaking of heat, we're talking about social media and stuff. It seems like electricians, out of all the trades on the internet, it's just like one big fight all the time. Like, I don't understand it. Like, why
It
can't we all
is.
just
It
get
is.
along? You know?
I know. And I love all the other Sparkies. I love all the other guys on Instagram. But I do notice we're pretty petty when it comes to online stuff. So it's pretty funny when you get to see how others start reacting. And it's like, oh, okay, we're not the only ones. There's a whole community out there.
Oh yeah, like standing on top of ladders on the top step. I never do that, right?
Yeah.
Or leaving too much slack at switch boxes, or running from
Yep.
OSHA. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on goes on out there. But yeah, dude, I'm
Man.
I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad we connected. So I guess just go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. I kind of gave you a little short introduction, but let's just hear from you, like kind of your background.
I appreciate that. Well, my name's Will, born and raised in New York City, in Queens specifically. Uh, I grew up and went to a vocational high school where I was able to get my high school diploma and as well as my electrical certification. And that's usually where the story begins. Right after high school, I went straight into the workforce, have a little background in commercial, residential, and industrial. Primarily, I worked on the railroad. So in New York City, we have the MTA. So that's the Metropolitan Transit Authority. I worked with Metro North, the railroad division. So I worked for the state of New York, taking care of their subway systems, the right of ways. And that was our bread and potatoes. Of course, we had some office spaces we renovated and also some residential projects. When I jumped into residential, primarily, that's when I went for my electrical license in Connecticut,
Hmm.
my journeyman's, and then that's where I got exposed more to residential work. New construction, old frame.
Yeah, so you've had your hands in a little bit of everything in the electrical world.
Yes, yeah. And then after work and after getting my contractor's license for the state of Connecticut, that's when I started looking into what else I can reach and go after. And then I did like a big study on the life expectancy of a contractor as an electrician.
Hmm.
So basically, I had two options. I can stay as an employee for a company for 20 to 30 years, retire with a pension,
Hmm.
or I can work 20 to 30 years for myself in my own business. But if I don't scale it enough, if I don't have a legacy to pass the company on to, it was just going to close down shop like all the other guys that we know. So I noticed right from the beginning, if I don't do something from the ground up and build a foundation of other opportunities, that in 20, 30 years, I had the same deadline as working for a regular company. So that's when I started looking into education and also inspecting.
Okay. Yeah. So you are an electrical contractor in the state of Connecticut, and um, you have the school going, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, and then you're also an inspector. So how do you manage to
Yep.
juggle all of these things? Because I feel like I'm just so freaking busy, just doing the one job, and you have three different things going on. How do you do it all?
Uh, Number one, I have a good support at home that allows me to do what I need to do. As long as I put the
Hmm.
priorities of the family first, I can do whatever I can do. But what's helps me a lot is each one of those things allowed me to succeed or have the success in the next. I needed the experience as a contractor to be a good inspector. I know what inspectors are looking for. I know what contractors are looking for. So each one bled into the next. And now, with the background in contracting, the background in inspecting, I can now teach the next generation
Mm.
on how to do it the proper way. So it is a lot of juggling. I'm fortunate enough where I have a good rapport with some towns in Connecticut where I'm not there full time.
Mm.
I'm per diem. If they need me, I can help out part time. If they have a big backlog, I can go in on a weekend to help them out. But my meat and potatoes is
Mm.
the school now, building that up.
Yeah.
Because the electrical contracting, we already have enough systems and we scaled it enough where if anything was to happen to me, it can continue. I'm there mainly for license permit applications and inspections.
Sure. Yeah, that's good. The company can operate if you were to go on tomorrow. So that's where you want it to be.
Knock on wood. Knock
Yeah.
on wood.
I got plenty of wood behind me too. Uh,
Yep.
yeah. So you're an inspector. You know, I hear a lot of times like guys complaining about inspectors, and there's bad apples in every profession, but I think that most of them are good, and I think it's good to have someone, a third party, checking your stuff and calling you on stuff so you can do it right, right? Like I want to be
Yeah.
friends with the inspector, not just for political reasons, but like I genuinely want to do things the right way, you know.
Yep. And I think, I don't know how it's like in Tennessee, but as you can imagine, every state's different. For specifically in Connecticut, there is an electrical inspector's license by the state you have to take.
Mm.
Yet the majority of the inspectors in Connecticut are building officials. So building officials can inspect everything: plumbing, electrical,
Mm.
framing, everything. So the building official is not proficient in just one trade. He knows
Mm.
the overall scope of what's good and what's bad. So the
Yeah.
trouble is when you get a building official checking over a licensed contractor's work. Because a contractor, 9 times out of 10, we're not trying to screw a job up. We're
No,
not trying
not
to
at all.
burn something down. But the building official who doesn't have that solid basis of electrical or isn't proficient in electrical,
Mm.
he's going to start nitpicking a lot of the things. So a lot of the times when you have a building official checking in any specialty trade, plumbing, electrical,
Right.
HVAC, they're not proficient in it. So they're going to go on the side of caution just because they don't want to tie their name to it. So
Mm.
I see both sides of the debate now. Before I didn't understand that, but now I understand.
Yeah, because it's a liability, right? So, like, let me ask you this: you're a contractor and an inspector, and maybe this varies from state to state, but like, if an inspector passes something, does all the liability fall back on the inspector, or is it kind of like partial between the contractor and the inspector, or what? How does that work?
For in Connecticut specifically, you have to prove that it was malpractice, that he deliberately
Mm.
passed the job like without a shred of a doubt. But we have that protection. It's part of your job.
Right,
You
because you
know,
can't see everything.
if
Like,
you're
you can't
exactly.
see every little detail. There may be something that you can miss, and I don't just thinking through it on the fly.
Hmm.
Like everything can't fall back on you. I wouldn't think.
Exactly. Yep. No, it happens a lot. And COVID was a big eye opener to that because a lot of the times they were doing, let's do remote inspections. So you're like,
Mm.
are you kidding me? So all you had to do was show the pretty side of the work. and then, and then who
Yeah.
knows what's going on. But it's a matter of time before those things start popping up, you know?
Well, I'm sure you know all the dirty tricks in the book. Yeah, who I've heard of guys try like they forgot to run the number 4 stranded ground from a sub panel to the first means of disconnect. They forgot to run it, so what they did is they cut like a 10-foot piece of the the number 4 strand and just shoved it down in the pipe so far that you really had to like tug on it. You had to tug on it to realize, oh, these
Hmm.
dudes just freaking shoved the ground down in there,
Just stuff
man.
it in. Yeah. Or it's all about angles. When they would take a photo, yeah. We saw some funny stuff. It was some funny stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually just looked into uh, basically what it takes to be an inspector in the state of Tennessee. I called the state office today, and there's 2 ways you can go about it, and neither of them are worth my time. So unfortunately, everybody, I will not be an inspector because it doesn't make sense. So either you can be a deputy electrical inspector, stands for DEI, and you're just like your own private company. You have to show that you're a private
Oh,
corporation,
wow.
have to have the proper insurance, and I guess you're kind of treated like a sub. You're not a state employee, but the state calls you when they need you, and you have 72 hours to inspect the job. If you can't meet
Oh, wow.
if you can't get to a job within that time frame, the state will just stop calling you and stop using you. Or you can
Oh,
go
wow.
down the route of being an employee with the state, and you get hired on, you get put on payroll, then you go through all the training to become an inspector, and it's basically a full-time job with benefits and everything. So neither makes sense for me because I'm not going to quit what I'm doing. So that's out.
Yeah.
And then the first one doesn't make sense because I could be busy with all kinds of stuff, and if I get if they request me to go inspect stuff within 3 days, well, shoot, I could be busy on a job. I can't hop off that, and you only get
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
percentage of the permit fee, which isn't much. So, I kind of, when I was kind of thinking through, I'm like, yeah, it only makes sense for the retired guy who can't do it anymore to go around and do it. So,
Exactly.
yep.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. You hit it on the head.
Yeah. So you're an inspector, you're a contractor. So when did you make the change from being an employee to a contractor, and how long have you been in business?
So I've been in business. I'm starting my sixth year in business right now. So when I first, so we're talking 6 years ago, we're looking at 2018. That's when I obtained my master electrical contractor's license for the state of Connecticut. And I worked for another, it was less than a year uh, for the MTA still. And that's when I realized, like, I have this license. Nobody else has it. Why am I limiting myself? Why don't I just give it a shot? And worst case scenario, I'm still, what, 24 at the time,
Mhm.
23, 24 at the time. And I'm like, worst case scenario, I'll just jump back into the union and do my own thing. But let me give it a shot. I knew at that time life wasn't going to get easier, just like with everybody. Life's only gets harder. If you're married, you're most likely going to have kids. If you have one kid, the chances of our having a second kid is right there. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So the chance I had to opening shop, that was the best time to jump into it. So I jumped into it. It was right before COVID. So I got my feet wet a little before COVID. And then when COVID took off and blew up, that's when the company it was insane. It was insane. It was just nonstop work. And from the beginning, I decided, like I mentioned before, I wanted the longevity. So I
Mhm.
looked at different opportunities I can reach from the beginning, get the foundation ready for those things. So if something was to fall apart, I already had a safety net, a cushion for myself.
Yeah, yeah. So, you jumped in right in the middle of everything going crazy. I remember when I started in the trade, which was 2020, the end of 2020, but this was going on. It probably got started in the beginning of 2021, but like Romex was like $50, and then it went
Yeah,
up to like
right.
$200 for a freaking 250-foot roll, and now it's down to I think like
I remember.
108 where I'm at. But yeah, But yeah, and you know what? Like around here, at least, business has not slowed down up until kind of recently. So all throughout COVID, people are still building houses around here. Now, I was in new construction. I know like there's all kind. You can do all kinds of different things in the electrical field, but in my previous company, all we did was new construction, custom homes over and over and over again, and it didn't stop. And it was making money. So. Now it's kind of a different story because back then the interest rates were low, even though material was high, and now the material is high and the interest rates are high too. On top of that,
Yep, exactly. No.
so yeah, what? So you've been in business for 6 years, all right? I think a lot of people would consider you kind of like a prodigy because how old are you? Like 30? So you started like when you were
Yeah,
24, right?
exactly.
So you're 24
24,
running
that's
your
when
own
I got my
electrical
master's.
company. Yeah, because I turned 32 in March, and I've only been in this just a few months. And so, like when on social media and stuff, people ask me all the time, like, what advice do you have, like starting a company or business advice? And a lot of times, I just feel like I'm the wrong guy. Just
Mm.
because they found me on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I run my own company doesn't. I don't know. I just wouldn't consider myself seasoned. Now I can try to give some advice, but I think it'd be better for someone like you if someone were to ask you that question. Will like if you could just say like a thing or two, what advice would you give to the employee right now, the lead guy at a company, a journeyman who wants to make that leap into running his own company? What would you tell that person?
First, I want to appreciate you for that. And without a doubt, you have a lot to offer too, brother. I and I think you can agree the hardest step from going from employee to owner operator or to just opening up your own business, I believe it's a mindset situation. You have to switch gears. You're no longer a worker, you're a contractor, you're an owner of the company. So it's a big mental game for the first few years. For somebody coming into the trades, I would say right from the beginning, I want you to define what is success for yourself. Once you define success, now you can have your goals under it to help you reach that goal of success. So, is it a financial number? Is it a physical number you're looking for? Is it the financial freedom? Is it to have enough flexibility so you can enjoy the time with your family and have a good work life balance? What is success? Once you get that baseline understanding of what is success, then everything else comes into play.
Yeah, that's good. Everybody's gonna define success differently, and I wouldn't recommend just throwing all your eggs in one basket and saying that's money, because you're gonna
Yeah.
get to a certain amount, and then that's not gonna be enough, and you want to make more than that. And don't get me wrong, like it's good to be ambitious and driven and want to make more. I'm not saying that's like a bad thing to make millions or whatever. But everyone's going to define that differently. So
Yep.
you have to define what your priorities are in life. If your goal, number one goal, is to like work less, ultimately, less hours in a calendar year, be able to spend more time with your family, and maybe you do make less than you did with your, previous company. Like you may be making like 80 grand a year, and then now you're dropping down to 50 working for yourself. Some guys think that's totally worth it, right?
Yep.
I went to Kansas City about 3 weeks ago and did some content for an electrical company up there and got to meet a guy named Jimmy England. He's the vice president at Teague Electric. And I think
Okay.
they're probably the largest residential company in Kansas City area. They also do commercial as well and underground work. But when I first got there, I'd never seen an operation like this. And I know some people come from this, but me, I come from a little, mom and pop shop basically with 3 or 4 employees. We're operating out of a
Yep.
garage. I get there, and their warehouse for inventory is like a freaking supply house on steroids. I mean, it's like freaking huge.
That's good then.
Yeah, like I think he told me they had 170 employees, like 80 vans operating. I mean, it's just
Oh man.
crazy, and I've just never seen anything like that. And I thought that was super cool. And so I asked Jimmy because Jimmy had been an apprentice there. He started back in '03, and I guess I think he's a part owner now in the company. But it's like how do you go from yourself like me? Not that I want to obtain this, but I'm just curious. Like, how do you go from a one person show to this? Like, how do you make that jump?
Yep.
And I'm sure he could have probably given me some long spill or whatever, but he just said, "Look, do quality work, and all of that will come with it." So maybe not that exactly,
Oh yeah.
but you got
Yep.
basically what he's saying is just do quality work and trust the process. And I know that's cliche, like people say, trust the process, or whatever, but it's true. Focus on doing good quality work, and everything else is going to line up as long as you're like a. You can be a halfway decent person. Just be nice to people, do quality work, and it's all going to work out. Typically, in most cases,
Yep.
wouldn't you say?
I agree 100%, especially because like the last few years, especially with the whole COVID fiasco,
Mm-hmm.
everything was so hyperinflated. As you mentioned before, there was material, the real estate, the work itself, skilled workers. There was such a high demand.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was so hyperinflated. So even if you were a bad worker or someone who didn't have good qualities or didn't have good craftsmanship, they stayed busy. So, but now we're coming out of this era where this bubble has popped now. And I truly believe this is what's going to start differentiating between the good workers and the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is if you use those last 3 years, like you said, working on yourself, working on the business, giving good rapport, having good customer relations, then you're going to stay busy. The ones who've been working and just not caring about what they do, or not learning or even admitting to where they had flaws,
Mm-hmm.
they had this false sense of success just because of supply and
Mm.
demand.
Yeah, that's right.
That's going to be a rude wake up call to them. And like you said, the money is a byproduct of everything you do.
Yep.
So
Numbers don't
you
lie.
shouldn't make that your number. Exactly.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your number one goal. You do everything you're supposed to do. And now when you want to scale your business, it's just a matter of replicating yourself and creating systems to scale. But that false sense of success has been going around in everything, Instagram, business wise, relationship wise, that's everywhere. So it's going to, this is the time where you're going to see the people who are genuine about what they want to do
Mm-hmm.
and who are genuinely out for the best interest of others.
Sure. Yeah. I talk about Instagram and TikTok and whatever. Just because a person has tons of followers, it doesn't always mean that person is actually producing stuff that's long lasting and worthwhile. So, um,
Yeah, I
it,
agree.
I mean, it may be. I don't know. It just isn't always the case for every so-called influencer or content creator or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, there's guys that have freaking, 10,000 followers or less, and I would say they're smarter than most of these people who have a bajillion followers in the electrical community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate them more
Yeah.
than, some other people.
And that's the other day I had that live with Rudy. We were on and we were talking about that. We were mentioning how there's a lot of people on Instagram, and I did a survey because I'm big on numbers when it comes to business.
Yeah.
With Instagram, there's the top 25 influencers. 19 of them on their bio either said first, second, third, fourth year apprentice. 19 out of 25 are apprentices. 6 of them are licensed, but only 3 of them are owner operators.
Yep.
So the majority of the people who have this big influence on the next generation haven't even finished the trades themselves. And they are highlighting one aspect of the trades, not the whole opportunity you can
Sure.
get from the trades. And that's what we were mentioning. But the difference is, as I mentioned before, these owner operators, and as you can attest to that, you are so busy with the day in and day out of your work. We don't have the luxury to be on our phone all day recording our work.
Yeah.
We have people to take care of. We have bills to pay. We have family responsibilities. We got clients to relationships that we got to maintain. And then on top of that, we still have to complete the work.
That's right.
For
Yep.
them, when you have the luxury of, hey, wake up, go to the job 8 to 4, I can take a 30-minute clip of my work, edit it when I get home, post it to the world, and everyone likes. That's awesome, but that's one aspect of the trade. We want to see more of the trade being highlighted. There's so much more to offer, and we don't want to put a limiting belief on the next generation. Because if they think, oh, the next cool thing to do is get a pair of clients or get this drill, DeWalt, or if I'm going to get this cutter, I'm going to get that cutter. Not saying that that's bad, but tools are tools. They help you complete a job. You
Yep.
shouldn't make your goal the tools. Just like a business owner shouldn't make money their goal. These are byproducts of the work you put in. If you come into the
Hmm.
trades and you open up your own shop, guess what? I'm in Home Depot every other day buying a new tool just to make a job easier.
Yeah.
Bro, when I was working in the force, you know how many times I blew up a pair of linesmen? You know
Yeah.
how many times I got my tools stolen? If that was the reason I came into the trade, I would have been devastated. I would have been
Sure.
like, oh no, my first pair of planes is gone. I don't know what to do with my life no more. No, they are a byproduct of what you have to do, and they're a very useful tool. So I wish we can start seeing more of that on Instagram. Once again, Instagram, it's an amazing tool. It helps us connect with everybody. But we shouldn't have also our focus on Instagram. Instagram should be an amazing tool to highlight what we do in the real world.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate all that and agree 100%. Even the past like 2 or 3 years for me, I was that guy posting at night, and then the next day I would be able to record a little snippet of my work, and then I didn't have anything else to worry about after I got off work, and ever since I got on my own, I I find myself not in the field as much. I mean, I do have to do the work at some point because I don't have a team. I have helpers occasionally, 1099 them, but I'm out doing other things that like you can't. It's not something you're gonna get all these likes and views on. No one really cares about you doing paperwork. No one cares about you running into Lowe's. No one cares about you making lists or phone call. I wish I could have recorded the phone call
Yeah.
I had with a customer the other day. It was horrible, and it would have been a good learning lesson for the world. um, but yeah, I know what you mean though. Like that's just one aspect, and it's so small, and it's not long lasting. Like if you're in this, like I don't really get these messages anymore, but like in the beginning, people would ask me like, "Hey, do you have any advice on creating like a page and stuff?" I'm like, just post your work, man. Like, you know, it, I would never bank on social media as my sole income. Well, I think like what was it
Yeah.
when Trump was in office, TikTok just about got banned, and it may end up getting banned later. So
Yeah.
you think about it, for all these people who are not owner operators, they're employees, and they may have some decent followings on social media. If those platforms went bye bye tomorrow, which is very possible, at least for one of the platforms, you're not relevant anymore. You're just another person. And I don't mean to like be disrespectful in
Yep.
saying that. It's just you're not relevant anymore because there's no platform for you. So,
Exactly.
um,
Exactly. And that's what I appreciate what Rudy said. He goes, if your boss tells you to run this 3 inch quarter, piece of EMT,
yep,
okay, cool. You take a video of you running it, but why are you doing 3 inch quarter, 3 inch, three quarter of an inch EMT? Well, because we have two conductors and it wouldn't fit for. He goes, there you go. Go to the next layer. You don't
yep,
have to go deep. Just go to the next layer. Why am I doing this? Oh, that's the reason why. Oh, but it's only one circuit I'm running through this 1/2 inch. Yeah, but we're running 3/4 inch because we have two future circuits that we want to pull. So now I don't have to rerun the pipe. Now understand the why. Go to the next layer and understand all
right.
those things.
Yeah, yeah. So there's just so much to it, and like people ask me again all the time, like any advice starting a business, and you have like these young people asking for advice and stuff, and I'm always going to point people in the direction of entrepreneurship versus another route. I think you're better off going entrepreneurship if you can if you're made for that. Not everybody's made for that, and that's okay. But man, there's just so much more to this than what you see a lot of times on social media, and that's why I appreciate Whitewire so much, because I think he's so well rounded in his content. He posts
Yep.
funny things. He posts work that looks really good. He knows the code. He shows how to do things. He shows like how to fix something, or how he does something, why he does it. And he basically covers every single angle you could, you know. And that's what I really appreciate about Rightwire, is that he's just so well rounded in his content specifically, and that, that's why he's at 100,000 followers for the right reasons.
Exactly. And there's so many guys who are coming into the trades because of him and doing what he's doing now. They're explaining what they're doing. They're understanding. They're not just, Rudy is big on saying, we are not installers. We are not laborers.
Mm-hmm.
We're craftsmen. There's a difference in those two titles.
Yeah.
We're not just throwing pipes together. We're craftsmen, understand the why behind everything. And I think that's one of the biggest things you can take away from Rudy. He goes, if you want to come into this, understand the work that has to get done, but understand why it has to get done on top of that.
Yep.
Because that's what makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, and something else that I really appreciate about Rudy is that he's the owner operator, and he's out in the field a lot. And
Yep.
It's not fake either. He's not just showing up to the job to record, and then he's going about his business. Like, he's the owner operator, and he's for real there working.
Yeah.
So
And on top of that, he has like 10 truck rolls. This dude is nonstop. And he doesn't highlight any of that other stuff. He just happy with what he's doing and giving back to the others. He's not highlighting the tool side of things. He'll show a tool if it's very useful for it, like his torque wrench. He's very specific with some things, but he's somebody who doesn't want to live by a brand. He wants to genuinely just help and give back, which is an amazing example for everybody. And there's guys in there like Anthony, All Things Electric, Energin, Andy. He's very good. He's doing the same thing. He's saying why things are happening, or why you have to get this rather than that. Jesus, with Red Wolf. These guys are some solid dudes who all live next to Rudy, and they're just all taking little bits of what Rudy's doing and just applying it to their work. And it's amazing stuff to see. I was never surprised. I was never so surprised as when I went to California to visit them. I never realized how many contractors there were in California for electrical.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody and their mother was a contractor out there. And on the East Coast, I think it's a little different from us. Like we were talking, like I have one influencer close to me, Connecticut, Sparky. He lives like 30 minutes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he has his own platform, and he's not an owner yet. I know he's working towards his master's, but he's not there yet. And then there's guys in Long Island, there's guys in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. But it's very rare do we find another owner operator. I think with you, we just talked about one who's in North Carolina, but it's very few on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it's a completely different ballgame. There were 20 guys all living within 15 minutes of each other, and none of them view each other as competition.
That's
20 guys. That's when we met up at Rudy's house. They all lived in a 15, 30-minute window of each other. Nobody viewed each other as competition, and everyone was giving their trade secrets.
That's cool. Yeah, I've met a few other. I know who the other contractors are in this area, and unfortunately we all do view each other as competition. But yeah, there's a lot of people on social media who are contractors from California. There's so many of them, and then I think the next group of them is up in your area in the Northeast. And then you have some in Florida and stuff. But I don't know of any other contractor that's doing anything on social media in my state or anywhere around me other than the electrical code coach on YouTube. Which, by the way, if anyone on here is studying for like their master's or journeyman or whatever it may be, he teaches he teaches how to pass the exams that are required in Tennessee, which is the LLE and the CE. But I think like he has a video series. It's a 35-week video series. 35 weeks just meaning 35 videos. But the first 10 videos of that 35-week series is how to do basically low calculations, pipe fill calculations, box fill calculations, which
Okay, smart.
that's why, yeah, because when I went and took my test, I thought like I could navigate the code book well, and then I got in there, I didn't know how to do the calculations, and so I found this guy because someone recommended, and he had all kinds of videos on how to do this stuff, and what really helped me is because he's an instructor in Tennessee, and he knows exactly, the kind of material that's going to be on the test, and so I went in the third time after studying his stuff and passed it, and I ended up contacting him like a month or two later, and we touched base on the phone. But he's the only person that I know of on the internet that's from around my area doing anything like that. I don't know of anyone else in Tennessee or Mississippi or anything.
Well, hopefully they start popping up,
Yeah,
because that's encouragement, you know. With your
yeah.
outreach, brother, I'm sure someone's gonna pop up now.
Well, that's people that like have like an audience, a decent audience on their
Hmm.
channel. I've met a few, all kinds of different contractors through Instagram who have hit me up. Who like I'm supposed to be getting lunch with one of these guys here soon. Everybody's been sick
So
lately.
cool.
Like he gets sick, then I get sick, and then my partner gets sick, and then my kids get sick, and then it's just like this whole month
Yep.
has to go by before everyone's cleared. So, but yeah, like I've made really good connections just through Instagram. The people that somehow they're in the area and they found me, and we ended up hooking up, and now we have that network. So,
I love
um,
that. I love that.
yeah,
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
yeah, like 'cause see, people are on social media for different reasons, and just because, like I'll say this, like it's not if your goal is to get views and followers just for the sake of getting views and followers, I don't really think that's bad in and of itself. It's just that's what you're trying to accomplish, and I hope you do well at it. I'm not gonna lie to say that wasn't on my mind at some point in my journey. That's not why I started
Yeah.
my channel, but there was a phase where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna really focus on trying to grow my audience. So I'm gonna create things, whether it's good or
Mm.
bad, to get people's
Yep.
attention. And so now,
I like
since
that.
being a business, owner operator, my mindset and philosophy on all this has completely changed. I would love for my audience to keep growing, numerically, but if it stays the same and I'm able to help more people if in real life application and running a business and doing electrical work, I'll take that all day than getting another 50,000 followers.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing, brother. You hit it on the head, and I appreciate you mentioning that because not a lot of people focus on that. You know, just like what we mentioned before, there's a lot of people 3, 4 years ago with COVID, everything was hyperinflated. So a lot of people started getting attention because Instagram and social media was the only escape people had. We couldn't travel, we couldn't go anywhere. So their phone was their escape. So a lot of these influencers became who they are today because of that outreach that they had and because they were giving a different perspective on things that people weren't seeing before. Yet I'm a big believer in being somebody of value, of being someone with morals. You got to keep progressing and you got to keep growing. Just like in life with your wife or kids, you don't just say, okay, we're done and that's it forever. You got to grow with your audience. You got to grow with your kids. You got to grow with your spouse. You got to keep growing as a person, as an individual. So when you start growing, you start learning different perspectives. And that's not bad. That's the beauty about living. That you see, hey, this worked up till now. Now I'm going to switch gears, and now you're getting a different. Bro, that's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate you saying that because, like I said before, it's going to be a matter of time before people are going to just realize, oh, you're doing the same thing 4 years ago now. It's getting kind of old. Yeah, they can probably, like you mentioned, retain their audience, but you're not expanding on anything new at this point. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and I know bro, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing thing, and just the fact how people get triggered just shows how much you are already providing a value. So I just keep doing what you're doing, bro. I really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that. Like honestly, like for me personally, I'm just so over the installs. Like I don't mind trying to show someone an install for the purpose of like trying to be helpful, but just showing an install just because it like I can make it look good if I spend more time on it than I usually do. I don't know. I used to do that kind of stuff and now I'm over it. But it's okay. It's okay for those who do that and that's their niche. Like Luminati,
Yeah.
like dude, like that guy, all he does is post his panels and
Oh man.
switches, and but he doesn't even talk on there. But all he's done is just post videos and photos of his work, and that in and of itself has been so inspiring to me to just do better quality work. Now it's never going to look like his. I don't think I could spend all day
Yep.
on a panel. I still can't make it look like his, but his work has inspired me and many others too. So I really appreciate what he's doing over there. And people. And the thing
Yep.
is, like, he still gets trolls in the comments saying, "Oh, you must be hourly,
Yep.
wasting so much time and material." I'm like, dude, the guy's a business owner operator. If he want it, and I'm sure he can do it faster than you can, and yours looks worse than his because he's been doing it for
Yep.
so long.
Yep. I mean, brother, it's people went after Jesus Christ. Anybody under him is
Yeah,
still gonna get it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just a
exactly.
completely different
Um,
scenario.
no, yeah, yeah, true that. Well, Will, we're kind of running out of time here. We're almost at 45 minutes here. I wanted to real quick for you to let everybody know what you got going on with your school that you're launching.
Oh, I appreciate you. So we just opened up a non-for-profit trade school. It's an education center. So our trade school is called Energize Us EDU. And what we're trying to do is bring awareness back to the skilled trades. And we're going to do that through three different avenues. Our first avenue is going to be through our media channel. So our media channel, we're going to be bringing the interest and bringing the value of what's it like to be in the skilled trades. So for the last 6 months, we've been traveling the US, meeting contractors, meeting these influencers, going to these different infrastructure facilities. For example, the Hoover Dam. We went to Canada to visit the Niagara Falls Power Station. We went to different museums like the Thomas Edison Museum, and we got to learn stories about these great influencers as well as these infrastructures. Once again, it's that next layer in. It's not just about, oh, we are electricians. We're showing, hey, if the Hoover Dam was to shut down, we don't even have a job as an electrician. So why are infrastructures like these so important? The same with Canada, the same with learning from our founding fathers like Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, learning their stories so it gives us a better appreciation as an owner operator or as a tradesperson itself. So that's just our media channel. So we have a whole studio and a film crew where we've been traveling around and recording that just to get you interested into the trades. Once you're interested into the trades, we have our pre-apprenticeship program, which is approved by the Department of Labor and the Department of Education, where it's approved in all 50 states. So if you take it in New York, you happen to move to California, that certification travels with you and it still provides value. It's the gold standard when it comes to a pre-apprenticeship training. Our secondary form of education is after pre-apprenticeship. For example, OSHA 10s, 30s, CPR, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, NASEP certifications for solar installers, scissor lift, fall protection, all those secondary courses that you can take that will complement you in the workforce. Our third avenue now is our business consulting. If you're a new licensed contractor and you want to open up shop, just like what we talked about, the mind shift change, we can help you build up your own shop. Let's say you've been in business 3 to 5 years and you're looking to scale it. We can help you with that. If you're in business 5, 10 years and you're looking for a legacy and a different change of pace, we're here to help you with that. So basically, Energize Us, just like you mentioned, where how your viewpoint changed as becoming an owner operator
Hmm.
from before when you first started Instagram, we want to grow with our audience. So if you're just getting involved in the trades, we want to be with you for the longevity until you open up shop. We want to show you the benefits, the pros and cons. If you come in for the schooling, we want to be there when you open up shop, or vice versa. Let's say you're a business owner and now you have to upgrade your workforce or retain your employees. Now you send them through the schooling, get them up to par to now complement you as a business owner. We just want to be the Ivy League when it comes to the trades, and we want to be involved in your lives throughout every step of the way.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. And I don't really know of anyone else doing that right now. I mean, you might.
It's fun. It's fun. It's been a lot of work. We got a very good support group, so I can't take credit alone. We have a lot of good guys, especially in every specific department, every specific venue and avenue. We have somebody who's a proficient at it, known, and has the credibility to speak on that department. So it's just a beautiful network that we have all around. And we got some things coming at the end of January where we're going to go back to California now to do another contractor meetup with Rudy. But we got some exciting things coming for sure.
That's awesome, Will. Well, we're gonna wrap up here. Where can people find you on social media?
So on social media, our electrical contracting is Energize Us. Our school is Energize Us Edu. If you want to hear our podcast where we meet with big time influencers such as yourself, Tennessee electrician, Massachusetts Sparky, Master Sparky, New York Sparky, Solar Goat. If you want to hear their stories, it's all under our Work and Talk podcast.
Awesome. So you can find your Work and Talk podcast, the podcast itself. You have a Instagram channel for that. And then Energize Us Edu also has an Instagram channel as well. So and you're on all those platforms, and so that's good. Now it's raining super hard, so it's probably a good indicator that I should wrap this thing up. It is raining so hard, so I'll probably hear later what that sounded like, but it's really amping up right now. Yeah, I'm in for. So I don't think I mentioned before. I'm in my shed. This is kind of like my studio, and I don't know if I'll be able to do something different, but my shed has a metal roof on it, and so when it rains like this, I mean, it's over. Like obviously you can hear the rain. So and it hasn't rained in like a week, so of course it's got to rain right now. But anyways, well, I appreciate you hopping on, and I really like what you're doing and all the content you're putting out, trying to really make a difference in the trade community and with our youth, promoting trades. So, but yeah, thanks again for hopping on, and hopefully we'll do something like this again soon.
Of course, brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to the very first podcast / YouTube episode. Really exciting stuff coming. I got several other people lined up as of right now. Blue Collar Chats is what this is going to be called. Basically, we're just going to chat about the trades, meet all kinds of people, hear their stories. And so y'all stay safe out there, and make sure that you download this, subscribe, follow. I'm going to make an Instagram channel here soon. By the time this gets released, I may already have it. Just look for Blue Collar Chats, and you can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Tennessee Electrician. So y'all have a great rest of the night. Thank you for tuning in.